Well, hello everybody. My name is Tim, and welcome back to my channel. Today's topic is ways on improving your credit score. So, I thought in order to give you the ways to improve our credit score, the first thing we need to know is, well, what is our FICO score or credit score? Number two, why is it important to us? Number three, how is this going to help us benefit us financially knowing this stuff? Ready? Let's get into it. All right. So, like I said, in order to understand how to improve our FICO score, I think the first thing that we need to do is understand the FICO score, the credit score model, and why it exists. From there, we can figure out just what we need to do individually, because obviously there's no one size fits all to improve our scores. Okay, so credit scores are made up of 35% of your score is payment history. Okay, so what is payment history? So payment history is the amount of times that you're paying your monthly debt obligations on or before it's due. Now, banks give a grace period before reporting to the credit bureaus of 30 days. That's the law under FACTA. Allows them 30, they have to give you 30 days before they're going to report that credit report as a late payment. But in order for us to maintain really, really good FICO scores or credit scores, we need to be on time or ahead of time with all of our monthly payments, because that's 35% of your credit score is right there. All right, so the second part of your FICO score or your credit score is in what they call amounts owed. And this is where it gets a little bit more confusing. Some people think it means amounts owed total, and some people think it means amounts owed in relative to what your income is. And I'm here to tell you they're both a little bit true. See, the credit bureaus do know a lot more information about us than I think that we'd like them to know, because every time that we're putting an application for a car loan or a credit card or for a mortgage, that data is actually getting communicated to the credit bureaus. Okay, so when we're talking about amounts owed and 30% of your score, what we really want to look at is, number one, what types of credit do we have? Do we have installment loans that have full balances, or do we have credit cards or what they call revolving accounts that have full balances? If we have credit cards that have full balances compared to installment loans with full balances, well, that's a much different story, and that has a different rate on your credit. But overall, the big thing to know is 30% of your score is on the amounts that you owe. All right, so the next big piece of the puzzle is 15% of your credit history is the length of your credit history. How long have you been on the bureau? How long do they have records of you making payments financially? One of the good tips that I would like to give to all of the families out there is, if you have a kid that's under 18 years old, great idea to do to help them, a little bit of a boost off, is put them as an authorized user on one of your credit cards. Don't make any late payments on those credit cards, but put them as an authorized user. At that time, they'll rack up credit. They'll also get length of time. They'll get payment history. It can do worlds of wonder. Look, my daughter is 14 and 12 years old. Both of them are authorized user on our bank cards. So that way, when they hit 18, I know they're going to get the best auto rates, insurance rates, and all the other rates out there that we're looking for with these higher FICOs. Now, the next part of your credit is a relatively small part. It's 10%, and it's the mix of types of credit that you have. Remember earlier when I was talking about having revolving debt versus installment debt? Well, when they're looking at those types of credit, an installment debt could be considered a good debt, right? On tax returns, you would see good debts listed. On business tax returns, if it is a good debt, or if it's a bad debt, you would see it listed as a bad debt. So the mix of types of credit that you have, whether that be revolving, installment, mortgage accounts, auto loans, auto leases, All of those are different types of credit. And the bureaus know exactly what type of credit you're taking on, and that's factored into the 10%. All right, so the last one, and this is what I get the most questions on, so I'm going to spend a little bit of time on it, even though it has a very relatively small factor. 10% of your credit has to do with new credit, but also within that new credit has to do with inquiries. How many inquiries are you having on your credit report? Because that assumes that you're applying for credit and that you're taking on credit. Now look, if you come to me and you're looking for a mortgage and you have a 740 FICO score, by the way, that's what we should all strive for, is 740 or 760 and above, right? All right, so the next part is relatively small. It's 10%, but I'm going to spend a little bit more time on it because this is the one question I get as a mortgage broker more than anything. The 10% is new mortgage accounts, also the pursuit of new credit accounts. I said that wrong. I said mortgage account. New accounts, new credit accounts altogether, but also pursuit of new credit, meaning inquiries. Now, if you're going out looking for a home loan and you go to Bank of America and you're in line, maybe you're cashing your check and they say you want to apply for a home loan, hey, why not? I'm here. Get pre-qualified. They pull your credit. They tell you, hey, you have a 741 FICO score. Wow, that's great. You lead thinking, I got my good credit. So now you've got your credit score. You've got the mortgage inquiry. They know, meaning the credit bureaus, the Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, they know that this credit inquiry happened and they know it was from Bank of America. They also know that it was a mortgage inquiry. That's the type of loan that was pulled, okay? So then let's say you go down to the road to Wells Fargo because you bank at Wells Fargo for this, you bank at Bank of America for this, who knows? You have to decide to apply for a loan the same day or the next day or even within about 120 day gap. And you get another credit pull. Everything else on the credit report is identical. The score will be identical as well. Because searching for a mortgage, the banks know that the pursuit of new credit in that 10% that we talked about is pursuing new types of credit. They know that you're applying for a mortgage and you've got 3 or 4 mortgage inquiries. Well, you should have 3 or 4 mortgage inquiries because we should shop for our home loan to make sure that we're getting a good deal. All right. So now that we've looked at all these different ways in which they look at credit, let's talk about a few ways to make sure that we get the highest possible score. So the first way, number one thing that we're going to talk about is you got it, making sure you're making your payments timely. See, if the lenders are looking at your credit report and they see that every month you make your payment and it's due on the 1st, then you're making it before or on the 1st. That's a good sign as far as the risk, which means the credit score is going to be likely a lot higher. Okay, tip number 2. Let's evaluate all of our debts and then go through that personal budget, the one that I linked down below in the description. And let's start paying off some debt, right? Now, a lot of people get this wrong, and they want to start with the largest interest rate. And I disagree with that method. Let's do this instead. Let's start off with the revolving accounts, meaning your credit cards, and we start with the lowest balance first. Why do we do the lowest balance first? Because I've found, and studies have found, that if you do the lowest balance first, it's going to give you that mindset that you should now do the next lowest balance and the next lowest balance. And then you want a zero balance here. You want a zero balance there. So keeping up with paying off the debt in a timely manner will really help boost that FICO score right where you want it over that 760 mark. All right, so the next one is the 15%, which is the credit length of history. Now, they measure this in a number of ways, but really what it equates to in most of their calculations is going to be the number of accounts that you have open, how long each of those accounts have been open, Then they're also going to take an average of how long all of those accounts have been open. And they're going to put all that together, and they're going to come up with their own different algorithms. By the way, within these algorithms that I'm telling you about and giving you hints on, they have algorithms within those that are proprietary. They're not going to tell you, they're not going to tell me. What they will do is they'll allow us a credit simulator so that we could run a credit simulator and tell you precisely what your score would be with certain moves made here and there. All right, tip number 3 or 4 or 5. Next tip, types of credit. Make sure we do this. Let's start off with getting a credit card. Credit cards are the most dangerous types of credit, so we're not going to go and apply for just any type of credit card. We're just going to get a very modest $300, what we call secured credit card. Now, this secured credit card can come from your local bank. You can just let them know, hey, I've got $300. I'd like to take and give this to you in exchange for a credit card, a secured credit card, where I can use and make payments, swipe the card, make the payment every month, and build up credit that way. So starting off with revolving, making sure then that you take in and you get an installment loan with that. I think if you start off with those 2 types of credits, your installment account and your revolving account, you'll see that you can get to that 760 with just those 2 types of credit. Might not stay there for very long just because like something small could bring it down, like even a new credit inquiry or something like that if you're getting a lot of them in a row. But anyway, that's my take on that. And then 10% is all about seeking new credit. And sometimes, guys, this is just necessary. So sometimes your credit's going to fall just because you're building a business or seeking some type of credit, buying a car, maybe buying something for your wife. So anyway, I hope these tips were super helpful. If you guys need a credit simulator, there are a couple of them that are out there. I know Experian has one on their website that's free to use. I'll go ahead and find that. I'll link it down below. And if you could just do me a favor, and if you found any of this information useful, do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, folks.